to order at 4:02. Thank you. I have no public comment was submitted. If
Nope.
people have had a chance to review the minutes, I'll take a motion to approve in a second.
A motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is recommendation of full slate of committee members, which is attached. Is there anyone on this list that anyone doesn't know? Any familiar? Because we are looking at the Celebrate Mansfield Festival Committee, and there's a couple of other members. I'm assuming I just want to make sure that everybody, all the committee members knows everybody else. And if there's any question, just raise your no, guess we're all good.
Yeah, if anybody wants me to go down the list of festival folks, if they don't know them all. I see I have a typo in here, that's 7.
Who can you remind me of who Jessica Cargill?
Yeah, so Jess is the manager of Bays.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yep. And Sabrina and Jocelyn?
Sabrina, we're going to get this right, I think is a speech pathologist. She volunteered at the headquarters table at the festival. And then Jocelyn is the new youth services person for the town. So she kind of is filling Sarah's role a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. It's a call coming. All right. Everybody else looks good on that. I guess, do we need to take action? As this goes to the annual meeting, or is this just approved here?
This goes to the board at the special meeting after the board meeting. So I think a motion to recommend to the board.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll take a motion to recommend this slate of agenda for the next board recommendations for committee membership.
So move to recommend this slate of members.
Okay. Second, Kyle. All in favor? Great. Thank you. Annual meeting update. Are we good, Cynthia?
Yes. We have 27 members who have RSVP'd. Yes, we do need 25. So
right. So there's no room for Melt.
No room for Melt. We're not showing up. And then total, I think, between John Zaccaro and staff, and we do have Provost DeLeva coming and Interim Dean Frogley coming as well, who are not members. So we've got about 35 or so. But we're pretty well set. Michelle and I, Polger, and I are going to talk on the 5th when I get back from my trip and just connect to make sure we're all set. But I think we should be.
Okay.
We'll do one more reminder. I think it's on my list to do one more reminder from me this Wednesday. Okay.
Thanks again for following up on that recommendation of engaging them. You know, I sort of want to keep fine arts and some of the other programming active in the downtown. So this might be a way to continue to foster relationships between the board and businesses and the arts. So good. It'll be a good introduction, and hopefully it's a helpful place for you, Kyle, to facilitate a meeting. Is there any questions that you have about you have some draft remarks, I think, so you feel good with everything? Is there any role that you need us to play? I know I recommended perhaps that Diana could move the nomination of our board member, who's Ron, at the meeting. Does that work for you, Kyle?
Yes.
Okay.
And then
No,
Frank,
I'll-
I'm sorry, Diane.
No, and I'm all set with that. I just wanted to clarify, I turn it over to Kyle to make the, move it and make the motion, right?
Yes.
It returns back to Kyle, right? So
Perfect.
In this, I just wanted to have some participation by members
Governance.
From governance, but also ideally the nominators, right? And since Betsy nominated and you seconded that nomination of Ron, but Betsy's not often at these in-person meetings, so I know you'll be there.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if you do it, that'd be great. And I guess the message is that people stay active and involved in the board and the board activities. Whether you're on the board or not, you can still be active and volunteer. So it's a helpful message for us to remind people of. So thanks for doing that, Diana.
Oh, no problem.
And Frank, can I just, so since we're here in this meeting, so
Yep.
we had, put together the list of accomplishments from the governance committee. So, and I haven't changed this yet, Kyle, in your remarks. So did you want to go up there before Diana does the motion and just mention some of the accomplishments from the committee? Am I understanding that correctly? Or was...
Yeah, I just want to make sure we had it on hand. I was going to do a note to all our, wasn't sure what the attendance was going to be here, but I was going to do a note out to our committee members, thanking them, and sort of a reminder of all the checklist of things that we accomplished this year. It's, a lot of meeting times and we covered a lot of ground. We should feel good about it. I don't think it's necessary to go through it at the meeting.
Okay.
I just wanted to have it to people before the conclusion of their term, in a sense. So, but thank you for helping me remind me of all that we accomplished. But I don't want to take up time on the agenda of the annual meeting. It seems like it's tight and it should run smoothly without me putting in a commercial.
Okay, I got it now.
Got it. All right. Any other questions about the annual meeting or our roles? And then
I just have one, Cynthia, on as I was reviewing, do we think it's necessary to bring up Colby in the annual meeting since it's not going to be there? Can we just push it off to August?
Yeah. The only reason I had it on there is because the agenda had gone out already with his name on it. So I think we have to sort of explain that a little bit. But I mean, that's up to you.
Okay. Well,
I tried not to get into too many details, but
okay. I'll figure out a way to navigate that. Okay.
Kyle, you and I think we're waiting for appointment letter from the president's office, but that's due June 30. CARE's on it, so that should be fine. I'm sorry, Ryan's. I didn't pay attention to the town council meeting. How did that go?
that's tonight.
That's tonight. Yeah. I didn't miss a thing. All right. With anticipation of that, that's great. Now, anything for the meeting afterwards? Anybody have any questions about that?
You want me to just quickly go through it?
Yeah, maybe just, that'd be great.
So approval of the minutes of May 4th, the election of the officers, the approval of the committee and committee chairs that we just did. I'd like to do this. I know Kyle, we'll try to whip through it, but it would be great to review or accept the March 31st financials, because then it wouldn't be till August. So I think it's important the board at least see those financials. I could do it. I mean, the finance committee already approved it. And then I think, Sean, we were going to have a brief update on the public space improvements, because we have that working group meeting this Wednesday. We've already got the approval to move ahead with spending some money.
Yeah, well, I guess it's hard to say without that meeting happening yet, but that was the plan. We're not expecting anything different at the working group meeting, right?
No, I mean, we don't, I think Mariana and Julia are going to hopefully coalesce things in a clear, because we had a lot of things thrown at us. So I'm hoping they're going to do it in a structured manner. So we have the inventory and we have their recommendations.
So Cynthia, why don't you just have a line on the agenda that just says committee and working group updates, and then I can ask for them, and that way you don't have to list every committee and working group out.
Okay.
I can just say, do any of the committees or working groups have updates to pass along? And if there's something, great. If there isn't, no worries.
If we have an actionable item coming out of the working group meeting, Cynthia's already been authorized by the board up to a certain spending amount, right? Did that happen, or does that still need to happen?
That happened.
That happened. Okay. All right.
Well, speaking of which, next item on our agenda, number 6, is update on strategic action plan and working groups. Is there anything that this committee needs to be aware of?
Well, in terms of my working group, Frank, we have a final deliverables, if you will, owed to the partnership identified in the contract with the LA faculty and program. We meet with them on, I believe, this Wednesday, the 24th at 4:00. And so we'll see hopefully they heard what we're expecting. When we met with them a final time at the end of the academic year, and the students, we had a follow-up afterwards that outlined, I think, very clearly and plainly what we expected as a final deliverable, and walked it back to the contract. So we haven't seen a draft yet, but all 3 faculty plan to attend our working group meeting and summarize the report.
Great. Okay. Cynthia, did we have a date for for Steve's group?
Yes, June 5th.
Okay, great.
So I'll get something, since I won't be here next week, I'll get something sent to, I just realized that I need to do that this week too. So I'll send an agenda out.
Okay, thank you.
The only other thing, Frank, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You and I briefly talked about it. I think, Sean, you and I and Kyle at some point should get together and this is where we are, kind of diligently go through the strategies, what ones make sense, because we're not even through the first year. So I think, when this summer, when it's a little quieter, I think just maybe if the 3 of us can get together and just go over that, if that works for both of you, if that makes sense.
For me, will the dashboard help facilitate that conversation?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Anything else, Cynthia, for item number 6?
I don't think so.
Okay. Item 7. This is regarding upcoming meetings. Typically during the summer, the June and July are seen as a bit optional, and then we have canceled on one because of schedules. Of course, now with virtual, everybody can join in no matter where they're at, but I don't think we need to. I don't know that we have pressing business this time of year. So I'm going to leave it to you, Kyle, whether you think there's a need for the governance committee to assemble for June and July. And then the second part of that question was setting a joint meeting with Finance and Growth and the Executive Committee in the fall. So just to put that on the agenda. I don't see anything that's necessarily pressing for governance at this time. In fact, I think we accomplished a lot in this past year. Hopefully, we've earned a couple of months here, at least relaxed setting and not have to meet. But is there general consensus that this is what we've done in the past? I think maybe once we had an August meeting but it was like right at the end of August. But that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we usually keep the August meeting because it sets us up for the new year, I think.
Right. Yes, the August meeting usually, and typically many of us are back in preparing for the academic year too, so it's not a hard one but June and July seem to be ones we usually cancel. Or I shouldn't even say that. It's not like we're canceling anything. It's just that our, we sort of gotten into this habit of meeting monthly. I don't know that we need to, for given the work that we have on our list for the next few months. Does that sound good for everybody who's on this call?
Sounds good for me.
Great. All right. As consensus, will make it so that the next meeting or the first meeting of the next session will be in August for the governance committee. Excellent. Great. Any other items?
Cynthia, how does that joint meeting with Finance, Growth, Executive, and Governance when does that usually take place? You're on mute, Cynthia, sorry.
Sorry. So this is to discuss the potential of doing a salary schedule. So we had done kind of a hybrid for this budget season. So Lee Palmer, who was the interim HR director, had given me a whole sample of what we might want to do. So this is discuss whether we want to move into that type of step system, which is similar to the town. And I did brief Finance Committee on it last week. So it's a matter of me sort of looking at schedules for later in the summer. I don't think we are early fall.
Actually, just while I'm thinking of it, the remarks for you, Kyle, at the annual meeting, if Andaleva is present, just a reminder that she was a board member.
Yep.
Too, I just couldn't remember if you guys overlapped at all. I don't think so.
No.
Okay. Good. If there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Great. Thank you. All in favor? I'll see you.
Was there a second? I'm sorry. Was there a second?
I'm going to take Diana as the second.
Okay.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks again for pulling us together, Cynthia. And good luck with the final preps for the annual meeting. If there's anybody you need to, sorry, I was just going to say, if there's anybody, if we're getting close to that 25 number, you can reach out to us as governance committee members and if you give us some selected people you think we could encourage, just let us know, because I don't want to put all this show together and then not have sufficient numbers.
Just out of curiosity, what's the total universe from which 25?
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
I want to say we're probably down to about 60.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
this year's been a little, I've sent out emails, we sent out a second reminder. There's just, we need to not reassess. I mean, we met our budget. So, we've been reassessing, thanks to Kyle with everything that he's been doing. So, that's helped with our overall budget, but we are definitely down in terms of membership. And it's continuing to go down, which is in some ways not unexpected, but
it raises an important point for a future in terms of membership and how it affects your annual meeting and getting business done. I mean, that's membership is important for us. So anyway, it's another item.
Does the town have any other memberships that that we might be able to co-message and provide? Like, I'm even thinking something as simplistic as, like, if people join, I don't know, if people join something and if they join ours also, again, I think as much as anything, we're trying to generate numbers. I don't think it's about revenue.
Right.
How many, along those lines, I'd be curious to know how many from the town's economic development committee are members of the partnership.
Two off the top of my head, but that's a good thought, Sean, too. Those folks, yeah. I mean, it really needs to be, we need to decide how concerted an effort it is. When we had a membership committee, it was very, very, as Diana knows, very deliberative calls. And then sort of it got engulfed into finance and growth, and, hasn't been as, top of the list.
To Kyle's point, it's less about the revenue. It's more actually about governance, because we need membership.
Yeah, from what's our total budget number for annual membership, Cynthia? Like, what's the number generated from that?
So our budget this current fiscal year is 10,000, and then we raised it to 13,000 because remember, we're trying to do more things July 1st. So we needed to increase our revenue. And we did with Town and Yukon, and we also increased our memberships.
So across those 60 plus people, we generate $13,000. That's the goal. Got it. Okay. Yep. So hypothetically, if we found $13,000 someplace else, that would allow us to, I'm just trying to think of it from a standpoint similar to what Yukon did with the Alumni Association. Like, once you're an alum, you're an alum, right? So should you have to pay to be an alum or a part of the Alumni Association? And I think from an inclusivity standpoint, we want anybody in Mansfield to participate in the doings of the downtown, and without thinking they have to be a member of something, or that they have to pay, or that they have to join something. If we can think a little more aggressively about offsetting that particular income or supplementing that income, and then making it, I don't know, figuring out a way to sort of message that, but without alienating those that have been members for a long, long time. I think that's important too. There's, so perhaps elevating the stature of those particular individuals, and then figuring out a way to be more inclusive otherwise.
Sometimes they have those life members. You get $1,000 threshold and you become a life member.
Yeah,
there's different ways of playing it, but I like that too, just to encourage people just to get to invest themselves in it.
Yeah,
a little bit.
This will be a good time to figure it out a little bit. Josh just put together that whole spreadsheet of all the different information, and so we can mine that a little bit too.
True.
Maybe
Excellent.
That's one of the agenda items for that salary schedule meeting, since that'll be finance involved too. So.
Okay.
Great.
Excellent.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody.
Have a great trip, Cynthia.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yes.
Travel safe. See ya.
Thank you. I'll see a lot of you Thursday.